Have you ever heard of the pharaohs who came from the south, from a land of gold and power? For centuries, we've pictured ancient Egypt's rulers in a certain way, but history holds a chapter that is often overlooked. This is the story of the kingdom of Kush, a mighty African empire in ancient Nubia, and its powerful kings who conquered Egypt itself, becoming the Black Pharaohs of the 25th dynasty. For thousands of years, the relationship between Egypt and its southern neighbor, Nubia, was complex. They were trade partners, rivals, and at times, one dominated the other. Egypt, in its moments of strength, pushed south, building fortresses and extracting Nubia's famous gold. They saw Nubia as a source of resources and soldiers. But Nubia, the land we now know as Sudan, was home to a resilient and sophisticated culture of its own, the civilization of Kush. For a long time, historians viewed Kush as a mere imitation of Egypt, a pale reflection of its northern neighbor. But that's far from the truth. The Kushites had their own gods, their own traditions, and their own artistic styles. While they adopted and adapted many Egyptian customs, like pyramid building and hieroglyphic writing, they infused them with a unique Nubian identity. Their society was built on a foundation that was distinctly African, a vibrant culture that was waiting for its moment to shine. And that moment came when Egypt began to crumble. Around the 8th century BC, the once mighty Egyptian empire was in disarray. It had fractured into a patchwork of competing city-states ruled by petty kings and foreign warlords. Law and order had broken down, and the sacred traditions that had held Egypt together for millennia were being forgotten. The great temples were neglected, and the country was adrift, lacking a unifying leader. From his capital in Nubia, the Kushite king Piye looked north and saw not just chaos, but an opportunity and a sacred duty. Piye was a devout follower of the god Amun, a deity worshipped in both Kush and Egypt. He saw himself as the true spiritual heir to the great pharaohs of the past, like Thutmose III and Ramesses the Great. He believed it was his destiny to restore order and piety to the lands of the Nile. So, in approximately 728 BC, Piye assembled his army and began one of the most remarkable military campaigns in ancient history. He sailed down the Nile, not just as a conqueror, but as a liberator. His strategy was brilliant. At each city he approached, he offered a choice: surrender and be spared, or resist and face the full might of his Kushite warriors. Many cities, tired of the constant conflict, opened their gates to him. But others resisted. The city of Heracleopolis, for instance, put up a fierce fight. Piye's forces laid siege to the city, and the battle was intense. But the Kushite army was disciplined and determined. They overwhelmed the city's defenses, and Piye emerged victorious. He then continued his march north, systematically bringing the Nile Valley under his control. The climax of his campaign was the siege of the great northern capital of Memphis. The city was heavily fortified, but Piye's tactical genius prevailed. After a series of brilliant maneuvers, Memphis fell. One by one, the rival Egyptian rulers bowed before him, acknowledging him as the true and rightful pharaoh of all Egypt. Piye had achieved the impossible. He had unified the two lands, Nubia and Egypt, under a single crown, inaugurating Egypt's 25th dynasty, the era of the Black Pharaohs. A victory stele he erected at the holy mountain of Jebel Barkal tells this story in his own words, a testament to his ambition and his faith. The reign of the Black Pharaohs marked a golden age of renewal for Egypt. These Kushite kings didn't rule as foreign occupiers. Instead, they embraced Egyptian culture and religion with a passion that had been missing for generations. They saw themselves as restorers, not conquerors. They initiated a massive program of construction and renovation across the entire Nile Valley. One of the most famous of these pharaohs was Taharqa, Piye's son. His reign was the zenith of Kushite power. Taharqa was a master builder, a pharaoh in the grandest tradition. He ordered the construction of magnificent temples and monuments from the heart of Nubia all the way to the Nile Delta. In his Nubian homeland, he expanded the sacred temple complex at Jebel Barkal and built new pyramids for the royal family. But his most ambitious projects were in Egypt itself. At the Temple of Karnak in Thebes, the religious heart of Egypt, he erected a colossal colonnade in the main courtyard, its one remaining giant column still standing today as a testament to his ambition. He built shrines and chapels, restored older temples, and his name was inscribed on monuments throughout the land. He presented himself as a pious ruler, a defender of the gods, and a true Egyptian pharaoh. This era was also a time of incredible cultural fusion. Kushite traditions blended seamlessly with Egyptian ones. Look at the art from this period. The statues of the 25th dynasty pharaohs depict them with classic Egyptian features, the kilt, the crook, and flail, but with distinctly Kushite characteristics. They shone with broader faces and wear a unique type of cap crown adorned with two cobras, or uraei. This double uraeus symbolized their rule over both Kush and Egypt, the two lands united. Nubian culture brought its own innovations. The Kushites were masters of ironworking, a technology that was still relatively new in Egypt. This gave them a military and economic edge. Their jewelry was exquisite, combining Egyptian motifs with Nubian materials like ebony and ivory, creating a style that was both familiar and new. The center of this cultural and economic power eventually shifted further south from Nubia to the city of Meroe. In Meroe, the Kushite civilization would flourish for another 1,000 years. Here, they developed their own unique script, Meroitic, a language we are still working to fully decipher today. The city became a bustling hub of trade, connecting sub-Saharan Africa with the Mediterranean world. And most famously, Meroe is home to a vast royal necropolis, a field of over 200 steep-sided pyramids. Though smaller than their Egyptian counterparts, these pyramids are a stunning sight and a powerful symbol of the enduring legacy of the Kushite kings and queens. But the reign of the Black Pharaohs in Egypt was not destined to last forever. A new, ruthless power was rising in the Near East, the Assyrian Empire. Armed with superior iron weapons and a brutal military machine, the Assyrians swept into Egypt, determined to seize control of its wealth. Taharqa fought back bravely. For years, he engaged in a desperate struggle to defend his kingdom. He managed to repel the initial Assyrian invasions, a feat that earned him a mention in the Bible as a powerful king who challenged the Assyrian advance. But the Assyrians were relentless. They returned with an even larger army and, after a series of bloody battles, they sacked the great city of Thebes in 664 BC. The Kushite forces were pushed back, retreating south to their Nubian heartland. The dream of a unified Egyptian-Nubian empire under Kushite rule was over. The 25th dynasty had come to an end. However, the story doesn't end there. After retreating from Egypt, the kingdom of Kush didn't collapse. Instead, it entered a new and vibrant phase centered at Meroe. For centuries, Meroe thrived as a powerful African kingdom, a beacon of culture and industry. The legacy of Piye, Taharqa, and the other Black Pharaohs endured. They had shown that power, civilization, and greatness were not confined to one people or one place. They were African kings who not only ruled one of the world's most ancient civilizations but revitalized it. Their story challenges our perceptions of ancient history and reminds us of the rich and complex tapestry of human civilization. The Black Pharaohs of Kush were not a footnote in Egyptian history. They were the authors of a brilliant, powerful, and uniquely African chapter in the story of the ancient world. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more hidden histories. Let us know in the comments what piece of forgotten history you'd like us to explore next.